Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Why not now? When you may be saying our channel, I don't see anybody else. Well, my amazingly handsome husband, who you all know as Steven, is busy right now editing some more amazing videos for you all. So I am here to do the long-awaited temporary residency renewal video for you all here in beautiful Mexico. You all have been asking me for the past few months, when is your renewal video coming out for the residency? And here it is. I'm going to give it to you all today. For those of you who are new and are looking for the beginning process, please make sure that you check the pinned comment below and check the description of this video, because I will pin a two-part, very informative, very detailed video for you all on how to obtain your temporary residency. And I'm telling you, these two videos are unlike any other. Everyone who has watched them has come back with amazing feedback, and I'm so grateful to hear that these videos have helped you all have an easier process when you're going to immigration. The part one of the process, which is over in the United States, and part two, which is done within 30 days of landing here in Mexico. It tells you everything from the forms you need, how to complete them. I show you the websites, what to click on, everything. So be sure you check that out. Okay, now on to the good stuff today, renewal. So as you all know, my husband and I'm Lisa Marie. I forgot to mention that, very important. I'm Lisa Marie, and my husband and I, Steven, have been living here in beautiful Mexico for about a year and a half now. We do have our temporary residency. We completed our process for residency back in 2020, and we actually did our renewal very late October, early November of 2021. So here we are now, towards the end of February, going into March of 2022, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about what you need to renew your residency. So what are we talking about today? We're going to go over the forms you need, the documents that you need. I'm going to show you the websites, what to click on, help you to register online, all of that good stuff. Let me go ahead and begin first off with the forms that we're gonna be talking about, and I'm going to show you online today. So if you see me looking down from time to time, I'm looking at my notepad here. So number one, we are going to show you how to register online, which is called your Tramite form. This is an online registration, but please do not confuse this with an appointment. I want to be very clear. This is not an appointment, but it is required for you to be able to go down to the I&M office, to the immigration office, and start your process and bring your documents. They will not see you without this, so make sure that you do this first, and I'll show you how to do that online. Everything that I'm mentioning here, you're going to want to print off from online and print you an extra copy. You always want an extra copy, with exception to one particular document, which you're going to need the original and 2 copies. So we'll talk about that a little bit further. Just keep that in mind. Number 2 is going to be your Formato Basico. I will show you where to access that on the website and how to complete that as well. And that form is just basically your demographic form. It's just going to talk about, your skin color, your hair, your height, why you're here in Mexico, your address, all of that good stuff. And side note, as I mentioned in the original temporary residency videos that I did, do not stress about the address, guys. They don't care. Even if it's an Airbnb, it doesn't matter. You can change that at any time. So don't worry. As long as it is an address in Mexico, you will be completely fine. Number 3, a cover letter. Now, this is different than when you initially started the process, because when I started, I don't recall creating a cover letter. However, when you go to renew, and honestly, even when you go to present first time, it's probably not a bad idea to have a cover letter. So you want to go ahead and have a little paragraph that just states, I, Lisa Marie, for example, passport number X, Y, and Z, would like to renew. And this is all going to be in Spanish now. You're going to have the heading addressed to the I&M office. And in my particular case, it was done in Querétaro, in Santiago de Querétaro. So I had all of Querétaro's information on the left-hand side of the page, the date and the year and everything on the top right-hand side of the page, and then the paragraph is going to just include your name, your passport number to identify you. What is your purpose? What are you trying to do? I'm trying to renew my residency. How long are you going to do it for? So here's a tip I'll give you at the end, but I put mine for 1 year. Initially, we had went down there. We were told some information that we could do it for 3 years. I'll give you some a side story about that later on. So however many years you're renewing it for, 1 year or 3 years, whatever applies to you specifically. And you're going to make sure that you also make a statement there that you can financially support yourself. Okay. You're going to go ahead and have your name typed there. You're going to have a line there so you can sign with ink as well. That is your cover letter. It's pretty straight to the point. Just make sure it's all in Spanish. Okay. Number 4 is your Pago de Derecho. I'm going to show you where to access that. That's going to be a different website from the general INM site where you're going to be completing your registration, your Tramite, and your Formato Basico, your demographic form. So I'll show you where to access your Pago de Derecho. And all that is the form you completed, so basic information. And you're going to also print that out, as I mentioned earlier. And that is for you to take to the bank, because before you can go to INM, you need to go to the bank and make the payment, whether it's for a year or 3 years, whatever applies to your situation. They're going to want to see that you've made that payment, because if you haven't made that payment, they're not going to consider your application. It has to be paid first. That hits the bank account of the INM, and it shows them that you're serious about wanting to get your renewal. Okay. You're going to also need a copy of your passport. You want to go ahead and make a copy of the profile page. Very important. You're also going to need, number 6, by the way, is a copy of your temporary residency card. So your green card that you already have, that you got from the INM office when you were first approved, right? You're going to make a copy of the front and the back. Very important. Front and the back. To give you a little tip, we went to, I believe it was Office Depot, and it was very affordable. I think for a copy it was like I'm thinking like 1 or 2 pesos for one copy. Maybe it was 1 peso per copy. So they do it very easily, simple, straight to the point. Okay, number 7, they may or may not ask you. Now, when I first went down there, I was told that when you renew, they never were asking for proof of, your bank statements, because you were in the system pretty much, you got there and it should be easy. Well, things are changing every day. As you all know, we're constantly going through changes. So do your due diligence. Even though you're watching this video and I'm trying to give you all tips and all information, that doesn't mean you skip doing your due diligence. Things are changing not only every day, but hour to hour, especially here in Mexico. You all know there's been a lot of changes lately with, the tourist visa, people coming from the US traveling here, and even other foreigners actually, where they were used to getting the default of 180 days, and now they're getting just a random amount of days. So things are always changing. So do your due diligence regardless of all this information that I'm giving you, and make sure nothing has changed. So we had to provide 3 months of recent bank statements. When we first went down there, we didn't have that because we were told we didn't need it, right? And when you go to the INM website, they're going to give you some criteria for what you need, but I promise you, it's never going to be everything that you need. And there are some things on there that are stated that you need those particular things, and now you don't need those things. For example, the passport photo. That's on the actual INM page. And when we initially came down and did our temporary residency, we did need to take our passport photos at a local immigration office and bring it on over there. And that's what was required, right? But now when we went to renew, we didn't need that. Even though it's still on the page, I'll show you guys when I show you the website, you don't need it because they're doing the photos in the INM office for the renewal. Again, this could change. That was what was going on when we went ahead and did our renewal in fall of 2021. So 3 months of bank statements was what they asked us to bring back, and we did that. They really weren't like making as far as what I could see, a huge deal of what you had in your account, as long as you brought them a bank account that showed a decent amount of funds in there to support you for the year. That seemed to be, sufficient, at least with the agent that I dealt with. Okay, let's see what else we need here. So now this is going to be for after you make that. Remember that Pago de Derecho I talked about, that you need to go to the bank and make the payment to show that you're serious. Well, once you make that payment, they're going to give you a receipt. So it looks like a regular receipt, okay? Plus, they're going to give you another page that looks like a secondary receipt, but it's a full page. That is called the Del Pago, or they refer to it as a Del Pago. It was a little bit confusing even for me at first. That's the one that you need to bring. So have your receipts with you that the bank is going to give you, but also those additional pages, those full pages, you're going to bring that to I&M. They're going to want the original of that plus the 2 copies. So that is the exception that I was mentioning here. Out of all the other forms, you want to print them out and bring 1 copy just to be, to be safe. But then when it comes to the del pago, that is the one that the bank gives you after you pay. That is the one that you want to actually bring the original plus 2 copies. Don't stress it. All around the I&M office, they make copies. There are little offices all through there, so you can go ahead and get that taken care of. Okay, now here's additional. This is an additional form that you may or may not need, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it to you because it was part of what we needed for our process, and we had to come back and forth. When we originally went down to the I&M, we had moved and we didn't change our address. So one tip is this: if you are going to go down there and you have no intention of giving them a new address, make sure you know the address that you gave them originally and write that down. Because if not, and you make a mistake like I did and you put your new address down, they're going to go ahead and tell you, oh, you need to fill out a change of address form. And if they want to be difficult, they can send you back home for that. As silly as it may sound, we were lucky. I talked to the agent. I said, I'm very thankful for your help. Please help me out. Can I just fill it out here? She let me fill the form out there. We were able to give it to her and move past, and she was able to update it quickly. But technically, she could have sent us back home, even though it took all of like 5 minutes. She could have done that. So just keep that in mind. Also, when it depends on your particular situation. So we went through the process and we were approved via economic solvency. There are all different types of ways of getting your residency. As you know, there's permanent residency, there's temporary residency, there's, you can get through work sponsorship, there's through missionary work, ministry work. There's so many different types. So our type of residency was initially based on economic solvency, which simply means you show them a certain amount of funds that showing and proving that you can sufficiently live in Mexico. You are not going to be a burden to the country. You can take care of yourself, and so on and so forth. So when we went there, because we didn't know that we had approved finances again, right? We went through this whole process in the US and then in Mexico, and we just thought it would be a simple renewal because I think that's how it used to be back in the day. And they wanted these bank statements now all of a sudden. We also learned that so you can have multiple bank accounts, but let's say you're like me and you just want to show one bank account, the less the better. People don't need to be all in your business if they don't have to be, right? So you show them one bank account, and maybe you just have one of the spouse's names on that particular bank account to show, okay, yes, I'm good for the rest of the year. We can stay here. Well, what they did was they said, because even though we're married, and the way we look at it is like what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. We're married. That's how we operate. But they wanted something called a vínculo matrimonial form. So they gave us that form and they told us you need to bring it back the next day. So that was a form that needed to be completed by both husband and wife. Okay, so we completed that form, and they call the promoter, which is the spouse that is on the name is on that particular bank account, is referred to as the promoter. They want an additional copy at that point of the promoter's temporary residency card, front and back again. So this is separate from what I mentioned a few minutes ago. When you're bringing copies of your temporary residency card. In addition, if you have a situation like ours where you're just showing them one bank account and that has only one person's name, even though you're married and you may have that person, listed as a beneficiary, all of that, it doesn't matter. They want that form, that vínculo matrimonio form, to be filled out, and they want an additional copy front and back of the promoters, of the person on that bank account, of the temporary residency card. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm gonna move on now to show you the websites and the forms and review, and then I'm also gonna mention, if you find this video helpful, most importantly, the simplest way that you can support us is by giving us a like. It's free. It doesn't take anything. Just hit that thumbs up button, and it pretty much shows YouTube that you value our content, that you find it, informative and helpful. So it will go ahead and reach more people and help more people. We are doing this here obviously for free. So that is the simplest way that you can help us. If it is upon your heart to help us in a different way, we always have in our pinned comment below how you can support us financially. So you can go ahead and check the Ko-fi link. That is it's free. There's no account necessary for you. You can use PayPal, which does require an account, and you can contribute financially if that's what you choose to do. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know how your temporary residency, either renewal or the initial process, went for you. Okay, so in the future, if you do like this video, let me know also in the comments if you'd like for me to do a how to change your address online. I can show you what to click on to register, so you can go down to I&M and collect that form. Everything's about registration ahead of time. I know it sounds silly and you think you could just go down there and collect the address form, but a lot of times it's like their way of knowing what is your purpose for the visit. They want you to complete the registration online first. Also, if you would like to, some people have asked me about how do you, for example, if you come and you start the process for residency initially, and then you arrive at Mexico and you have an emergency, or maybe you can't stay to wait to complete the second part of your initial residency process, can you just leave? You're supposed to stay in Mexico, guys. They say that once you start the process, you need to stay here. But if you do have an emergency situation, you can leave, but there is a way you can request to leave. It's called an exit permit request. I can also show you how to do that online, so you can request that, but keep in mind that it's gonna delay your process. Just know that. So if you'd like me to show you those two pieces in a near future video, make sure you comment below, make sure you hit the like button. All right, let's go on and show you the website and the forms. And if I have any final thoughts, I'll come back to you at the end. Okay, so here we are at the I&M, the Immigration Office's website. As you can see at the top here, we have www.gov.mx. I'm going to show you how to get to the Tramite form so you can register, and you can also see where you would access your Formato Basico from the very beginning. So here, you can scroll on down. And you see where it says procedures by category. I'm actually going to change this to Spanish because that's probably likely how you're going to see it. So where it says identidad, pasaporte y migración, ver todo, so see all, we're going to click on that. Okay. And here on the left-hand side, you see how we have all these different options. We're going to click on migración, visas y estancias en México. Okay. Now, I've been here a number of times. I did the whole renewal process myself, so I know where to go. It can be confusing looking at all these different options, especially when you don't know what they mean. I did a lot of trial and error to learn the process, so I'm going to just make it very easy for you. When you're looking for the renewal process, all you need to do is go to page 2. Click on page 2. And as you can see here, the second option here, expedición de documento migratorio por renovación. That's what you want to click on. So let's click on it, highlight it here. And remember that we talked about the Tramite form, the registration process. And I said anything that you do when it comes to I&M, they want you to register online. It's not an appointment. It's just pretty much telling them the purpose for your visit. It's you saying, I'm coming down here to renew my residency, or maybe I'm going to come down there because I need to do a change of address, or I'm requesting an exit permit, whatever you need to do with I&M. This is the paperwork you complete. That way, when you print it off and you bring it with your stack of documents, it's showing them up front what it is that you're there for. So this is on the right-hand side here, this blue button is where you would do your Tramite, your registration online, to tell them what is the purpose for your visit, okay? But on the left-hand side here, as you can see, it tells you about some of the necessary documents that you need. Here is the Formato Basico, which I'm going to show you after we do the registration. So you can access it here for completion. And remember, you're going to print a copy of everything. So you're going to print and then make you a copy of everything, with exception to your del Pago, which we talked about, that you receive from the bank after you pay. You're going to have the original and 2 copies. That's the only exception where you need the 2. Okay. So here, even though you'll see it mentions about the photographs, remember we talked about that when I first came down here, when we did the whole residency process, we did have to get our photographs taken. But for the renewal, they did not require it. So they did the actual photos in the INM office when we were doing the process. We did not have to go to a separate entity and take photos and then bring them with us like we did the first time. Just keep that in mind. Again, do your due diligence and check as things change every single day. So that's your best bet. You need to contact your local INM office and see what they require, because honestly, everyone will be different and everything changes day to day, even sometimes hour to hour, to be honest with you, okay? Real quick, before we do the registration, look at the cost down here. This has been going up every year, okay? I'm going to show you so here it says, okay, do you see how it says this is for the renovación for temporary for 3 years, for 3 years here. This is what they're charging for 3 years. I'll give you some thoughts at the end of the video and explain a little bit more. I mentioned I thought we can do the 3 years, but we ended up having to change it to 1. I'll give you some afterthoughts and a little story about a little debacle we had at the end. But this is where you see how much you have to pay. So in our case, because we were told we couldn't do the 3 years, okay, whether that was correct information or not is yet to be known. But here for 1 year now, they're charging for the renewal $47.39. It's going up all the time. When we did it just late last year, I believe it was like $47.13, give or take. So it went up a little bit. Prior to that, it was like 44 and some change when we first came down to Mexico, when we first started the process. So they are increasing it bit by bit every year, okay? But at least you know how much you have to bring to the bank in cash when you go make a payment. And you can pretty much go to any bank. Okay, let's start with the online registration. So we're going to click here, this blue button on the right-hand side. Click OK. Okay, formato to request. Okay, let me go ahead and change this back to Spanish. So, formato para solicitar trámite migratorio de estancia. So, what type of trámite? What is your purpose, right? What do you need to see them for? So here in the first drop down, okay, what do you wish to do, right? You're going to hit that little arrow there, and it's going to give you options. Okay, extend your stay, change conditions of your stay, all of this good stuff here. Okay, you're going to go ahead and click on extend your stay. Then a second drop down here, you're going to open that up. And then you're going to pick on here, this is the first option, expedición de tarjeta de residente por renovación. So expedite your card for residency for renewal, right? Pick that. Now here is what you're going to fill out. This is what once you complete this, it's going to be, you're going to print this out. Okay, you can save it to, you can do what I did. I didn't have a printer, so I saved all of my documents, PDF format, emailed them to myself, and then I went to like the local Office Depot, and they have an email address there in the front. And you once you're there, you can go ahead and forward all your documents to the Office Depot email, and they will print everything out for you. They will make your copies for you, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here, they're asking for your CURP number, okay? When we first started the process, obviously we didn't have a CURP number, right? But now that we've been living here, we do have one, and it's listed on your temporary residency card. So you can add your CURP number here. Okay, this is your your name. Obviously, I'm not going to fill this out because I'm not starting the process. I'm not registering. Nombre, so first name. Apellido, that means your last name, okay? Here, male or female. Mujer, female. Hombre, male. Fecha de nacimiento. So when are you born? Go ahead and complete that. All right. Your nationality. Here, just a little tip, because at first I was confused a little bit. Hit E and keep hitting E until you see this. If you're from the United States, this right here, that is what you're going to select for United States citizen. Okay. Here it's asking you your marital status. Are you married like me? Yes. Casado. Are you divorced? Okay. Whatever you are, you put it there. Okay. País de nacimiento. Where were you born? What country? Here, I believe it's a U. So if you hit U, and keep hitting U. Actually, let's try the E. Maybe the E will come. Okay, here we go. Estados Unidos de América. So United States of America. So you would select that one. Okay. And down bottom here, your passport information. Okay, so your document, what document are you using? Obviously, we use a passport, so you're going to click on passport. What is the number of that passport? You're going to put that here in the second box. The country of the passport. So again, Estados Unidos. I remember last time we had to pick actually. Here we go. U down here, but it could have changed. So Estados Unidos de América, so United States of America. In our case, right? And this is what this is pertaining to for you. This is for United citizens. So this here, United States citizens, excuse me. And this here is the date. So the date that your passport was initiated goes here. The date that it expires goes here. Okay. Again, don't stress about the address. Domicilio just means, what is a foreigner's address in Mexico? Just put a Mexican address down there. They don't mail you anything. I mean, it hasn't happened. But just go ahead and put a Mexican address here. If you're staying in an Airbnb or your temporary situation, as long as it's in Mexico, put it down there. Don't worry about it. You can change it later on. This is very important. Your correo electrónico. Okay, so you want to make sure you have a good email address here. This is very, very important because they're going to contact you via email about your appointment. Again, this is not an appointment. This is just you making a registration, telling them, hey, I want to come down there. I have some documents. I need to have this situation taken care of. Here's why I'm coming down. They then will email you with your appointment, and then you can come down with all of your documentation, as well as this particular form that you print out and make a copy of, showing them that you completed the online process. Don't think because you completed it online that they're going to have it in the system. Oh no, please don't do that. Take this. Make sure you when you submit this, you print a copy and you make an additional copy. Okay, so put a good email address here that you use. And then if it's just you're fine. You can scroll down and you can click here, right? You see where it's highlighted in this maroon color. But if you need to add a person, like in my case here, agregar persona, then make sure you press this. You click on this button first, and this highlighted button first. That way you can add your spouse's information, and then when you're complete, then you can click on this guardar. Okay. So now that that's done, you've printed that out, right? Or you saved the PDF so you can go to Office Depot. All right, you know about your copies. Now let's move on to your Formato Basico. Okay, your Formato Basico, I showed you, is on the same page. So I exited out of that screen. I still have this other screen up here. Remember, I showed you up top. Let me scroll back up. Okay, Formato Basico. Now we're going to open up this. This is the demographic form that I referenced earlier. Okay, let me try to zoom in a little bit so maybe make it a little bit easier to see. I'm not going to go through every single step. I kind of talked about this in detail. It's the same exact thing on the original temporary residency videos that I did. It's actually in the part 2 video. They'll be linked in my pinned comment, as well as in the description of the video, as well as every form, every website, everything will be in those 2 areas that you need. Okay, so no worries. Okay, so this again is your demographic form. Are you male or female? Your nationality. Again, remember that estadounidense. You're putting there, do you speak Spanish? Habla español. Your religion, if you have one. Number of children. Most importantly, I'm not going to go through everything. As I mentioned in the first video I did about temporary residency, just make sure you do not put that you're working. Okay. Even if let me be very clear. If you're working online, okay, and unless you started the process out originally, meaning you got approved off of working online and you showed them that you have you show them you have a pension, whatever you use in the beginning, of the process to get approved, you do the same. Don't change it. You change it, it makes them get all confused, and then it causes problems. So for me, in my situation, in my husband's situation, we were not working. We did our approval based on economic solvency, right? So when we put down our actividad principal, ours said hogar, Hogar, because it's pretty much said we're just going to be home. We're not working here in Mexico. We don't work online. We don't do anything. Not that it's illegal. You can work online. You can work for the US. You can do what you need to do, but it confuses the agent, and they may confuse that you're working in Mexico, and that causes a problem. Okay. For more details, again, you can refer back to the original video. I talked about it in more detail, but I don't want to spend too much time here. But this form here, you're going to hear where it says firma. You're going to make sure you sign. You're going to make sure that you date. Again, one for you, one for your spouse, if you have one. You're going to go ahead and you print it off and you sign. You're going to make a copy. Okay, so that's your demographic form, your Formato Basico. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump onto the Pago de Derecho. And the Pago de Derecho is on a completely different website. Again, don't worry, everything will be in the description and the pinned comment. Now we are at the other website where you're going to complete your Pago de Derechos form so you can go to the bank and make your payment. So as you can see at the top here, it states the website is inem.gov.mx and so on and so forth. Don't worry, again, both websites and all the forms that you need will be in both my pinned comment below in the comment section, as well as in the description of the video, so you can easily access it. So here you select Fiscal, okay? So remember, if you have a spouse, you're going to do the same thing again for them. So here you're going to put your last name. I'm just going to put 2 initials, okay? First name, and I'm just doing this so I can show you what it looks like to generate the form. You're going to hit continue at the bottom here where it's highlighted. Actually, you can add your CURP number here. It's not required, but since you do have a temporary residency card because you're doing a renewal, you're not starting from the beginning as a brand new individual here in Mexico, you do have a CURP. It's on your temporary residency card, so you can put that there, just FYI, because the bank might ask you for it. Okay, so you hit continue. Once you hit continue, it's going to ask you the type of procedure or service. Okay, I'm going to actually put it back into Spanish. And only because you're likely to see it in Spanish. Here, out of all of these options, as you can see, we're going to scroll down to Derecho de Residente Temporal, DRT. That is what you're going to select. For the Tramite, under the secondary drop down here, open that up. This is where it gets really silly and tricky, and it makes zero sense to me. But I've done this so many times that this is why I know this. As you can see, everything, and maybe let me know if on your computer it looks different. Everything looks exactly the same. There's no way to scroll over it. I can't see anything, right? But when you click on each, if you click, like for example, I know for the 1-year renewal, it's option number 1. Okay, I went through this multiple times by clearing the form and selecting and seeing what comes up, what the fee was. That's how I was able to match up if which selection was correct for me. Sounds really weird, I know. So I pick number 1, okay, and I'm going to show you how you can confirm. So if you're doing a renewal for 1 year, for example, okay, I pick number 1. I know that's going to be the one I'm looking for 1-year renewal because I went through the process already. And after that, you scroll down in Estado. So where are you doing it? Well, when I did it in Querétaro. So I'm just going to pick Querétaro. I'm not there anymore, but that's what we're going to pick. Okay. And then here I'm picking Querétaro again. Enter. Now I'm going to hit to continue where it's highlighted here. Now it's going to generate the form with the fee. Okay. So you see here, there's like this is a llave de, a key of reference. This is the key of reference. Okay. And here you see this, the quote, 4739. Let me show you something. Let's go back to the other website we were looking at when we did our Tramite registration and when we filled out the Formato Basico. So here we are. What do you see here? Look at this. How much is the cost? Remember I told you check the cost? 4739 Mexican pesos right here. Okay, that's how I knew. It's really, really weird. If you have to, let's say you're doing for 3 years or something, you're going to have to literally hit this here to generate a new screen and do that, what I showed you from the beginning. Select physical, put your name in again. It doesn't hurt anything. And then go through each of those options until you find the one that matches the cost of what you need. So for example, if you want it for 3 years, as you can see here, okay, 3 years cost $89.93 MXN. So you're going to go through that drop down until you find the right one, until when you generate the form, your quota matches how much you're supposed to pay for what you're looking to do. It's really weird. I don't know why they don't fix it on the website. It's been like that since I can remember when we first came down to Mexico about a year and a half ago. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. 1 year, generate. I'm going to generate it just to show you. Okay, it obviously didn't let me generate, but usually it would show you a form and it would say your name on there, the reference key, the payment amount, all of that. When that form comes up, you're going to go ahead and you're going to print it. And that is the form that you bring to the bank. You can go to any bank showing them, hey, this is what I'm here for, to do my I&M payment, and this is how much I have to pay. You pay them, and that's when they give you that receipt that I talked about, as well as that additional paper that you make the 2 additional copies of. You bring the original and the 2 copies, which I&M wants from you. Okay, so now we've covered everything on the websites, the forms that you need to complete, and I will come back for some final thoughts. All right, so you have done your work. We went through a long video. I know it was a lot, but you could have saved yourself quite a few $100s here by doing this work yourself now. Now, if you are an individual who needs a little bit of extra help, no worries. There are immigration specialists that can help you. There are Tramite representatives that can help you with the process. I just want to give you a tip. If you hear someone charging a ridiculous amount, for example, if it's something equivalent to 1,000 USD or more, they are scammers. Do not go with them. You can get some assistance with completing the forms, and it usually can cost you maybe from a couple to several thousand pesos. I want to be very clear. Pesos, which is a huge difference, but be careful. There are a lot of people that are preying on foreigners and upcharging. So again, you have all your forms, you know how to complete them, you know the websites that you need to go to, you know that you need to, how many copies that you need, you know to do your due diligence, most importantly, everyone. And you know that if you have a situation like mine, which is a little more unique, that you would have to get that vínculo, and I'll put that on the bottom of the screen, matrimonio form, and that is something that you can get from the agent at the I&M office. I hope this video was helpful to you, and again, please support us by giving us a thumbs up, and be sure to check out the video library because we have so much information for you. We lived in Santiago de Querétaro for over a year. We have neighborhood tours. We have multiple cost of living. We know the area like the back of our hand. We are no longer in Santiago de Querétaro, as you know. We are now residing in beautiful Aguas Calientes in Mexico. We are loving it here. We look forward to bringing you more content here in beautiful Aguas Calientes, but we have done a lot of Mexico travel. We've been to a number of cities and towns, from Tequisquiapan to Puebla to Guanajuato to León. I can go on and on and on. Oaxaca, check out our Oaxaca series as well. Mazatlan, the beautiful gem of the Pacific. Make sure you do check those out. We always we pride ourselves in bringing you truthful content, valuable content, informative content. We like to set ourselves apart here in the YouTube platform. So we appreciate your support. To our day oneers, thank you, thank you, thank you for always leaving us amazing comments and lovely comments, thanking us for our content and how we've helped you in sharing your personal stories. We appreciate you. And until next time, I will end it. I almost said we, guys. I will end it as we always do. Live the life that you were meant to live. Keep a grateful heart. And remember, why not now?